Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia 206. I forget what it was called. The third set concludes. So what happens this chapter? The third set concludes. The third set of these matches between Class A and Class B essentially finishes in this chapter. Now, I thought the chapter itself was pretty good. But I didn't like one point about it. I mean, like, the chapter ended pretty much... nothing big actually happened, but there was one part of the chapter I just genuinely didn't like, and we'll get to that. So we start off with the four competitors down. We have Honenuki down, we have Tetetsu, Shoto, and Ida down. And the only one who's still actually conscious is Ida. He's there trying to get out, but I think he very quickly realizes that his left arm and his left leg feel very heavy. I think he might have actually broken his left arm and his left leg. I'm not sure. I mean, like, even later we see, I think, his left arm bandaged. I'm not sure, and I think we see the top of his left leg around the knee bandaged. So I think he actually broke. I mean, like, it's not exactly a stretch. A freaking silo fell on him. So yeah, Ida's the only one who seemed to be still conscious by this stage, and we have Mr. Vlad saying that it was due to Kaibara's efforts that he kept striking Ida all the way to prison, and this slowed down Ida. So Ida was very late when he in backing up Shoto, which is actually a good point. I mean, like, you see Kaibara kind of in prison, and he's like, oh my god, like, this is bullshit. But Vlad draws a good point. It's because of his struggling that Ida had to kind of almost spend a little bit more time on him, and that little bit more time is what resulted in Ida being one step off, which is really the reason why Ida was under the silo. If he just had one more step, he would have been completely out of harm's way, but the reality of it was that he got smashed by it. So we have Mina talking about how if it stays at this rate, Class A will still win because they have one person in prison of the opposing team. But then we quickly find out from Yaoyorozu and the other guy, I keep forgetting his name. I forget a lot of people's names in this manga particularly. There's too many names to remember. But we see suddenly that Pony, I think her name is Pony Sunotori, and Shoji are actually they're continuing their fight, and Shoji's after her trying to kick her ass, and she's just escaping, literally flying on her horns. She stood on top of two of her horns and she's flying. I thought that was a pretty unique way to use her ability. And then we see exactly what happened when Hononuki popped up last chapter behind Ojiro and Shoji, and what happened. So essentially, Ojiro, who's holding Pony, he sinks into the ground, and only his chest is really above it, and Pony kind of struggles away from him, and she's almost getting pulled away by Hononuki. So what Ojiro does here is he kind of just spins his tail and, like, creates this, like, whirlwind kind of thing. Well, not whirlwind, whirlpool kind of thing, but it pushes everything outwards. So he creates this huge kind of disturbance in the middle, pushing everything outwards, and it actually frees himself and and Shoji from sinking downwards. But and Hononuki is surprised by this. He gets smacked into, like, this pillar, and he's just like, holy shit, the repelling force on just due to his tail being, like, swept around is immensely strong. So Ojiro is just there holding on to Pony, but I think at this point he actually accidentally lets go of her horns, so she manages to pop out some two horns which stab into Ojiro's tail, and he's just there, like, continuing to hold her onto her, and she's there trying to make life difficult for him, and he says that even if she continues to stab him, he's not going to let go. So this is the part of the chapter I didn't like. She then uses two more horns to just slam straight into Ojiro, and she literally flies him like one-way ticket all the way straight to their prison. And I was like, for starters, she must have, like, she doesn't have, like, a remote control eyesight thing. She doesn't have, like, a freaking camera, a dash cam or some shit where she can see through her horns. She can only control them remotely. You'd assume she'd have to look where she's directing her horns. So that's one issue for starters. Like, how did she know where the entrance to the prison was and stuff like that? And the second thing is, how did she have the, like, we've been shown that her horns are incredibly powerful, and they do have an element of, like, propulsion to them, like they knock people back with force. But for her to literally carry Ojiro all the way to this prison, and it wasn't close, it wasn't very close at all. I mean, like, it wasn't incredibly far, but it wasn't, like, close enough that if he just gets knocked off his perch, he'll just fall into the prison. She had to carry him some distance, and I just don't buy it. I think this was a bullshit way for them to get the draw, which is what occurs this chapter. I really didn't like this. I was like, for her to carry Ojiro, who has that awareness, that sense, that presence of mind, he would have at least somehow gotten out of it or tried to struggle to get away from it. But it was just suddenly like, oh, I'm gonna knock you in prison. Oh, you're in prison, and I was like, that's bullshit. And like for Ojiro to be put down that way, I call bullshit. I just really didn't like that. Let me know what you guys thought of that. You might have a different perspective, but I just really did not like the way Horikoshi handled that. I was like, I'm not a fan. So then what happens is Pony realizes as she's escaping from Shoji that she needs to carry away her teammates using her horns, so 3 of her horns at least, and she's still flying using 1, and I think she can only remotely control 4 of them at one time. So she realizes very quickly that I'm too slow to grab one of his teammates, referring to Shoji, to carry him to prison, even though she seemed to do it fine with 2 horns with Ojiro. I'm just saying. So she carries away her teammates, and she realizes that she doesn't actually have enough ability or enough capabilities to take Ida or Shoto or someone else into prison. Actually, I think it would only be those 2. So she quickly realizes, she's like, I've got no other choice. There's only one thing I can do here. And Shoji's going in for the kill. He's like, I gotta make sure my team doesn't lose here. So what does Pony do? It's weird saying that name. She flies straight vertically into the sky and stays there. She just stays in the sky, and she's like, if my team's gonna lose, I'd rather we just take the draw, and it's not going to be a win, but we're not going to lose. It's going to be 1-1. It's going to be 1-1 in terms of who's in prison. So the 20 minutes of the match, I think it was 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes finally kind of runs out. Ojiro's in prison, Kaibara's in prison. It results in a draw, and that was basically the end of that event. Ida and the rest of them are all taken to the nurse's office, where Shoto and everyone they're just recovering. They're given a kiss and they're given a Snickers, because you're not really you if you haven't eaten your Snickers yet. So Tetsu's there, and he's like, you know what, that match may have been a draw, but like as far as I'm concerned, it was a loss. And then he compliments Shoto on his heat, and obviously Shoto's just like, how are you thinking this is a draw? This is completely my loss. So everyone's kind of going around the kind of beating the bush of being humble and stuff like that. They're just saying it was my loss, and shit like that. Ida's there kind of analysing his situation, saying, you know what, if I'd been a little bit faster, we could have won in that situation, and he feels he was still far too slow. And Shoto kind of responds in this style, saying, I remember vaguely that you saved me, but also there's the issue of the fact that I've become very predictable. This is Shoto speaking. He's like, I always attack with an ice attack first. It's like muscle memory. And he did attack with an ice attack first. And I think it was Tetsu or was it Honenuki who said, if you'd attacked with a fire attack first and roasted us, we would have been completely at your mercy. But you chose to attack with an ice attack, and we were fine because of that. So then Shoto kind of resolves once again that he needs to become the kind of hero that can put everyone at ease, remembering back to like the shrine of All Might he used to have. And Ida kind of makes the same kind of resolve. He's like, I'll rush to the aid of anyone who needs my help. That's the conviction of the inheritor of Ingenium's name. So then we see Honenuki, who's kind of just listening in on all of this, and he's like, you know what, when it comes to your flame, Shoto, and when it comes to your Recipro, I've got like a lot of regrets in how I handled myself and like how weak I was in comparison. So, will you take me on again sometime? And they both just like, yeah, of course, whatever. So then, like, we can skip basically a lot of the page, but we come to the fourth set, which is going to be Bakugo, Jiro, Sero, and then Sugar Candy Guy. And then we get the other team, which is like, it looks like the kind of punk version of Tokoyami. We get this like scaly looking girl. We get this dude who looks like he's from what's it called, Shaman King. And then we get this other dude who looks like some sort of I don't even know how to describe the other dude. I mean, he's Buckethead. Essentially, he's Buckethead. So we go straight into that fourth set, and it doesn't really start, but we're told by that crazy guy in Class B, the blonde. I think he might be blonde. I mean, his hair's definitely clearish. But he tells us that the girl, the snakeskin girl, is the fourth person who was recommended into UA. So she's been admitted through recommendations. So she's meant to be some hot stuff. Her name is Setsuna Tokage. And I have no idea. I mean, like, we can kind of observe her and just kind of try and guess as to what her quirk might be. She has sharp teeth. She has snakeskin kind of suit. I mean, like, is she Is her ability lizardy kind of? Is it like reptilian, amphibian kind of based? Does she have some sort of healing factor or something like that? I don't see how that would be incredibly helpful, considering she's against Bakugo, who could very quickly outpace a reptile's healing factor. I mean, like a reptile can regrow limbs in the case of a lizard and stuff like that, but they can very rarely regrow entire like sections, like multiple limbs at the same time. I doubt. Anyway, I'm not a scientist or like an animals expert, but I assume if the damage is too high, and it's never instant. Reptiles don't heal instantly. It takes time for them to regrow those limbs. So I'm not too sure exactly what her ability is. I doubt it's a healing factor, but the fact that she's got some sort of like, she's got serrated, sharp-looking teeth, and then that lizard skin, there's got to be some sort of animalistic quality to her. So we'll see how that goes. Deku calls on, like in his head, he calls on. Bakugo calls on Deku to watch him. He's like, "Watch me, you shithead." And I was like, "Whoa, calm down. It's just a request, fam." But yeah, he's smiling devilishly, and I can't wait because Bakugo, like, I'm kind of hoping Bakugo just explodes. He always explodes, but I'm hoping he just goes and steamrolls everyone he can. But I'm also hoping that the other team can actually put up a fight and bring out the best in Bakugo. So let me know what you guys thought of this review. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow if Taizai drops tomorrow. So see you in a bit.